we can't afford to be vanilla in our content. Vanilla is mediocre. It's invisible because it doesn't make anyone feel anything. And so if we're talking about the enemy to disruptive content is vanilla, mediocre, blah. Okay. So here is an acronym that I put together for rare content. Reveal truths, which is to create polarizing beliefs. You're going to activate emotions, refine the narrative, and engage deeply. And to go a little bit deeper, these are some of the questions that you can think of when you're thinking about what can I do to make my content rare? So when it comes to revealing truths, what is the uncomfortable reality that your audience needs to face? And then also, how can you reframe it in a way that challenges the norm? So I hope you guys are hearing this and thinking for yourself. I like to look at it like the before and after picture. Their before picture, their current reality. Their after picture, what's the belief shift that has to happen for them to get to that after picture? Your audience's hopeful after picture and your before picture is their current reality. Does that make sense? Like often you are speaking to yourself 3 years ago or 3 months ago or whatever time frame ago. So I hope that helps for you to think of what's the shift that I had to go through? What was the uncomfortable reality that I needed to face? Like, can you think about that moment where everything changed for you? There was a before and after version of your life. There was for me, Marley 2.0 after this, facing this idea. One of my, I guess, after pictures was going from being in a 9-to-5 to being an entrepreneur. And once you see it, you can't go back, right? It's like there's that polarizing moment where you have a shift that then will never go back. And so think about that for yourself, whether you help someone with their health, their wealth, their relationships. What is the polarizing moment, the shift in belief that is going to put them into like a little bit of an agitation, an uncomfortable moment that once they get past that, they'll never be able to go back? Activate emotion. So how can you make your audience feel seen, validated, even called out in a way that sparks action? Can you think for yourself a moment where you felt seen or validated? Jason, I met you in Alex Sharfin's program. Alex Sharfin validated so much for me when he started talking about the entrepreneur personality type. Like he gave me an identity. He was able to read me in ways that I didn't know how to speak for myself. He talks about when you have a team, you don't have to just be the person driving the ship. You can be the passenger in your business when you have other people in their zones of genius, so you can be in yours. I'm like, oh my gosh. I devoured his podcast. I binge listened to everyone. I know some people are nodding their heads like they know Alex Sharfin's content. I felt seen. I felt validated. And as a result, I was like, here's my credit card. I don't even know what you're selling, but I want to be the first person in it. If you can explain your customers in a way that they don't even have the language to themselves, good night. You got them. Next one, refine the narrative. So what's the unconventional advice? I want to underline unconventional because again, remember, disruptive means polarizing. There's conviction in that message. It's disruptive. It's non-obvious. It's not just what we're hearing all the time. Taking a bold stance that positions you as the game changer. And then lastly, engage deeply. Stephen said this morning, you can't have a movement without a community. You can't have a brand without a community. If you don't have people that are engaging with you, I mean, you may as well just be isolated in a closet, sharing your message to a brick wall. You have to have something that's going to make them stop scrolling, take action, be liking, commenting, sharing, DMing you, which is part of the framework I'm about to share with you. So we're going to come back to this, but keep this in mind as we're going through some of the next sections, that this is part of the equation that makes people feel something and therefore take action. So the enemy to disruptive is vanilla content. This is safe, predictable, forgettable. But disruptive content challenges norms, shifts beliefs, and sparks conversation. So the vanilla majority, that's the enemy, the 99%. Where we want to be is the rare 1%. And if you're here, we already know that you're rare. Like you wouldn't have signed up for this if you didn't feel called to this already because of the branding that we put around having a rare brand. So a litmus test for that I've adopted for myself when I'm creating content is I ask myself, is this 1% content? Like, is this something that the 99% are not able or willing to do? If you want to have what the 1% have, you have to be willing to do what the 99% are not willing to do. Well, let's look at some mindsets that the 99% are doing because it helps to see what we don't want to be so that when we see it, we're like, oh, nope, not what we're doing. So the 99% are eager to fit in. What do we know about fitting in? Fitting in is failing. The 99% are playing it safe. Playing it safe is risky. They're avoiding criticism. And avoiding criticism, ultimately, that's boring. Avoiding criticism is boring. The people who have projects that are never criticized are really the ones who ultimately fail. When we think about the stuff that's avoiding criticism, that's status quo. We have nothing to say about status quo, right? We have nothing to say about ordinary. So disruptive content requires us to be polarizing and having some push-pull language. Push-pull language is like, why would you water down your message for someone who really isn't in your audience? We want to make a statement that is going to be polarizing so that we are going to pull in and attract the people that desperately want this and push away the people that don't. So for example, capitalism. The capitalist pig, of course we want to work with people that are like, yes, I want to get rich, give back. And the people that don't, we're like, that's all right. This isn't for you. I don't need to convince you. So people don't take action until they feel something. And so that means that we have to hook their attention in the right way. And for a lot of content creators, as soon as their audience hears them, they assume what's going to be said next. So we don't need to click. We don't need to consume the next message. Like, have you ever seen a YouTube video that has some kind of like bland vanilla title and you're like, I already know what this is going to say, so I don't need to watch it. That's the enemy to us. We do not want to create content like that, because clicking on a video, a headline, an email, that's an attention investment. An attention investment is like the most important thing for people's, like, they're going to protect their time, their mental capacity. So if your content is just vanilla, bland, boring, you're never going to capture the time and attention of people. They're never going to click, and therefore they're never going to buy from you, because unpredictability is what makes people click. And so let's look at some examples of what is disruptive and what is not. So when we look at some of these, this was the first MrBeast video I ever watched. I mean, I see this and I'm already like, what? Why? How? And because of all those questions, I have to click on it to find out. And it was a really well done video. The scary new research on sugar and how they made you addicted. What scary new research? How did they do this? The thumbnail, we never want to repeat the title in the thumbnail, but he did, so don't do that. 50% of your attention real estate, so never repeat what's there. That's funny, I didn't realize that until now. This one's a really great one. 17 conversations that made me a millionaire. How many question marks come up in your mind just from that one title? 17 questions. What are they? Made me a millionaire. Well, if I want to be a millionaire, that's aspirational. I want to know. The picture says 1,000 words here. $1,000 to 100 million, like without, and a good litmus test for me as well. Sometimes I'll cover up the title and imagine if I just looked at the thumbnail, would it make me want to click? Good test for yourself as well. So when you're disruptive, you can turn even the most common topic into great content, because it's really not about just what you say. It's about how you're saying it. So again, it's not really about the topic, but how you talk about the topic. We need to say things in a different way, in a way that just people haven't heard before. This is how you make your content unpredictable, non-obvious. Let's look at these examples, a little before and after, or a little kind of safe versus disruptive. Both of them are pretty much saying the same thing. How to master your relationship with money. I have assumptions about that. I'm like, okay, he's going to talk about how to budget. He's going to talk about, saving and my spending habits and maybe a mindset thing of, affirmations, blah, blah, blah. I pretended every night until I made $1 million. I have question marks now. That one gave me assumptions. Therefore, I don't have to click on it and spend time on it. This one, I have questions. I pretended every night until I made $1 million. What did you pretend? What did you do every night? How did you make $1 million? If I want to make $1 million, can I just do this too? And the thumbnail, I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. It's so mysterious. Therefore, I have to click. Do you see the difference between safe versus disruptive? Go through some other examples here. Here are 5 tips to lose weight. That's kind of the before. The disruptive is stop doing cardio if you actually want to lose fat. Why didn't the safe work? Why does the disruptive work better? So it validated his desires. He's like, I don't want to do cardio, but I can lose fat without cardio? Great. Okay. There's a little more interest in that. 5 tips to lose weight. I have so many assumptions and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. It's going to tell me stuff that I've already heard a bajillion times before. Wait a minute. I can lose fat without cardio? Tell me more. You always want to get the tell me more effect. So here's other reasons why it didn't work. The audience assumes it'll be generic advice. I already said that. It's predictable. It's common. It's nothing we haven't heard before. Low emotional pull, and it doesn't promise anything new or specific. We see why it's safe, why it doesn't work very well. Okay, let's look at why the disruptive works better. Confirms the deep down desire. It challenges assumptions here. So it's like, stop doing cardio. People assume that you have to do cardio. Some people do. I don't. There's an emotional response. Specific, grabs attention, and promises a benefit. What if we could take it up a notch to go from safe to disruptive to rare? We're going to use the rare formula that I gave you earlier to take it up a notch and make it even more specific and disruptive. Would you like to see it? How about this? The 10-minute fat loss hack that works while you sleep, and it's not cardio. If you give your customers a headline, a hook, a promise that's like, this is going to take a lot of work. As much as we can't promise effortless, there isn't a magic pill. They want it fed to them as easily as possible. A 10-minute fat loss hack that works while you sleep, and it's not cardio. So let's look again at why this works. It sounds easy, hints at exclusivity and mystery. It sparks emotion and desire. It has specific and compelling promises, and it's tangible. It's actionable. Like, oh, I can do this in 10 minutes. If you go to contentforleads.com/downloads, there's a few things in there. We're going to put the assets day by day so we don't get ahead of ourselves, but this is the framework that we're going to plug into ChatGPT to take your idea and put it into those kinds of statements. Using that framework, here's some other ones that we came up with. The 10-minute hack that burns fat while you sleep without giving up pizza. The 3-step morning routine that doubles your productivity without waking up at 5 a.m. The 5-minute trick that adds $10,000 to your revenue without spending a dime on ads. The 7-day plan to clear your skin without spending hundreds on products. So see how it's specific time or action, and we put some unique mechanisms into it. An unexpected benefit without a common pain point. Because if you can take away their pain point, you're taking away the objection. Oh, I know, yeah, weight loss, that sounds really good, but I don't want to give up pizza. Guess what? With this one, you don't have to. Yeah, but you're probably going to make me do cardio, and I don't want to do cardio. Guess what? With this one, you don't have to. If you can overcome the objection in your copy, in your headline, in your content, before they can even come up with it, you win. So what is the goal of the hook? And kind of obvious, we just went through it, right? Why do we create a hook like that? To grab attention. Make sure that we know this. It is not to give a recap of the content, although that's what we were taught in school when we were like writing essays from our teachers. So the goal of the title is to get people to click, to lean in, to consume it. Pretty simple and straightforward, right? So when we're brainstorming and writing our hooks, we need to make sure that we are getting so much curiosity in there that they almost can't take it. They got to know. So to do that, your best friend is unpredictability. Your content needs to be non-obvious. I repeat, your content needs to be non-obvious. I will just put this prompt into ChatGPT and I will say, here's my idea. I want to make a course about how to get six-pack abs in 10 minutes a day without going into the gym, whatever the headline is. How can I do this? Give me some video ideas. And I just keep ideating it. I use this almost every day. And the reason why we need to do that is because ultimately we judge the book by the cover. Anytime we see a marketing email or a headline, we are always metaphorically judging the book by the cover. If we look at the title or the headline, we're deciding, am I going to spend more time in this, or am I going to scroll to the next thing that gives me an even bigger dopamine rush? If your audience can correctly assume what the content is about, then it's noise, not a hook. We value our time and energy. So if we're like, it's about this, I'm not going to watch it. It's not worth my time. Okay. So unpredictable, non-obvious. These are your best friends. And I want you guys to be thinking, I'm repeating this a lot, because in all your content that you're going to create soon, I want you thinking, is this unpredictable? Is this non-obvious? Is this anything that the 99% are doing? Can anyone else do this? The best thing is that when you're creating content like this, you build this reputation that people always believe that the next pieces of content you put out are also going to be equally unpredictable and non-obvious, so that people want to keep coming back for more. They'll always want to click and consume your content. I love the saying of like, you are what you eat. You are what you consume in terms of information too. So we want to make sure that our content is a worthy information diet for your audience. So how do we do that? Through stories. We don't tell our kids bedtime facts, right? We tell them bedtime stories because that helps to ingrain these like values and morals and helps them to understand the emotional shift through going through an emotional journey. One of the most important parts of being a good content creator is being a good content consumer too. That as you're consuming content, you're observing, why did that work? Why didn't that work? Why was I bored by that? Why was I agitated by that? Why did that make me want to buy? Why am I salivating? How is my credit card coming out of my wallet? Oh my gosh, oops, I just paid $1,000. So we're going to use some more AI tools. Well, ChatGPT, I'm going to give you some more prompts here. I never want you to use AI as a replacement. This is to help you to ideate. This is another prompt, creating a social media post based on this storytelling rare framework. When I've played around with this one, I often have to give it a lot more of the story to make it longer. Otherwise, it'll be like 4 sentences. And so I need to ask it to do more. How many of you guys use something like Asana, ClickUp, Trello, one of those like project management softwares? I would love for everyone to make a content inventory for yourself that basically all of these bullet points, make yourself columns for all of these. Have a column in your Trello, Asana, ClickUp, whatever project management software you use, where you can store all your AI prompts. I use Asana. I also have in the notes section of my phone so that I can just easily grab it. Because if I have to remember, oh, there was a thing that I used last month, but I don't remember what it was, I'm never going to find it. Like ChatGPT, once you're using it every day, it's kind of a black hole to find it. So have a column for your favorite AI prompts have a column for brand integrations, what relationships you have with brands, whether it's affiliate links or sponsorship opportunities. One of the best things that you guys can do, take like 5 minutes every morning and ask ChatGPT, what's the top trending news in your niche? I had a client, he was a lawyer for surrogate pregnancies. I would have him search like, what's trending news that's related to surrogate pregnancies? And a couple of years ago, Tony Robbins had a baby via surrogate at age 60. That's a pretty big headline. For him being a lawyer for surrogate pregnancies, I was like, you have to drop everything and make YouTube videos about that right now because it's trending. I have a client right now too that he is an air purification consultant. Interesting niche. What's happening right now is top of news? The wildfires. I'm like, drop everything and make videos specifically about the wildfires and how that's affecting the air and have your affiliate links all over it. So if you just spent like a couple minutes a day and looked at whatever is trending in your niche, whether it's something in health, I mean, for me, I would be looking at, social media updates. I don't know, one of the things I did a newsjacking post on recently was the Hot Ones, the YouTube channel about where they eat hot wings. They sold for like 82 million or something like that. It was like a news story that I was like, I should speak to this, because what that does is I position my authority by being a reporter or just talking about it, while also it's trending news. So it's going to show up higher in the algorithms just because I'm speaking to it. So having a column that you can have top of mind news to look at. So for the air purification consultant, I would just have a prompt there, like what's happening with wildfires, what's happening with all the things he can speak to. Humble brag, that's basically just like a column for your testimonials and your social proof. You have to be posting that regularly. And I know it might feel weird because you're like, am I bragging? Brag. People need to know how amazing you are. And if you don't tell them, someone else will tell them how awesome they are. And they're probably not as awesome as you. So at least if you can just once a week post something that is a humble brag or just an audacious brag. Viral siphon, that kind of content is where I'm sure you've seen the reaction videos where there's like someone watching a video of something else. I don't like those ones because I think it's very lazy content. But it works. It drives me crazy that it works. But I'm like, why am I watching a person watching a video? My preference, if you were to do that, is to just take the first 3 seconds of someone else's viral video and then come in with your take on it after. So I'm not watching a 60-second video. I'm not watching 50 seconds of you watching a video. Like, come in with your expertise right away. But the reason why that works is if the video has already gone viral and you borrow the first 3 to 5 seconds of it and then swoop in with your opinion, you're going to siphon that viral traffic already. Moneymaker CTAs, those are the 2-step posts, or even like, hey, if you're interested in coming to the Rare Brand Workshop, drop a brand me below and I'll send you the link. At least once a week, you should have one of those Moneymaker CTAs or 2-step posts. YouTube, podcast, carousels, ManyChat keywords, like just to have a place for you to remember that you should have ManyChat keywords in your Instagram posts. You guys know what those are? On Instagram, you can do something where you say, hey, comment, and the same way that you do the 2 steps, but ManyChat will automatically send out what you're looking for. So if it's like comment brand, and I'll send you the link, ManyChat, if you have it integrated with your Instagram, will automatically send that link. But when you have this in a project management software, what I'd love for you guys to do is have a themed week like this where you know every day what you're doing. Now, obviously, this is an example. You can change this for yourself for whatever you want that to look like. If some of those you don't do, but you do maybe more YouTube videos, throw some more YouTube videos in there. These are basically your verticals. These are your content pillars, which really becomes the foundation of your brand story and your message. And what this does is it also allows you to be consistently inconsistent with your content. Because if every day you were just posting the 2-step posts, like if every day you were like, hey, I'm doing this thing, comment below to get it. And like every day people would start to ignore you over time. I have an 80-20 rule for content that 80% of it I have kind of pre-planned. I have the themes planned out by the day. I've batched some of my YouTube content. However, I don't batch my long form content too far in advance because I want to speak to things that are trending, that are topical. And also something could change months later. Like I used to film 6 months of content in 3 days and I thought that was so cool because I got so much done and then I didn't have to think about it. But how do I know if what I'm speaking about today is still going to be relevant 6 months from now? It can be. And you can obviously create content that you intend to be evergreen, but I also want to see how the audience is responding to my content in the moment. That if I have a video that takes off and people are loving this topic, I don't want to wait 6 months before I talk about it again. I want to strike while the iron's hot. And so that's why we have 80% that's planned and 20% of that real-time content, which if you have the content that's planned out, you kind of have the freedom to be able to adapt, to go, okay, I already know, I don't have to be reactive to oh my gosh, I got to put something out today. What do I do? I have stuff that's pre-planned out, but then also I can go, oh, Hot Ones just sold for $82 million. I should speak to this right now because it's a trending topic and my audience will appreciate me speaking about it so quickly.